Hello, everyone. While we wait for other guests to join in, I would like to, tell you a bit about what we are doing here. Thank you, everyone, for coming in. This is a Destiny Education Career Growth Talks. The Career Growth Talks is something that Destiny Education does to bring people into perspective of how to grow in their career and advance in their career. Before we get started, let's just do a bit of housekeeping, details. This is a live event, so please bear with us if we experience any technical difficulties. If you have any questions for the speakers when they start, please feel free to submit them in the chat, and we'll do our best to get to as many questions as possible. And so let's start with the conversation. I'd like to invite the speakers now. I'd like to invite the speakers to the floor to, take off from there. This is going to be like a Q&A session, and to be divided into three parts. Like the speakers, they are experts in their fields, and they will be sharing insight with us today on how best to start and advance one's career. And we're focusing on tech today, the tech industry. And this is because Destiny Education is a career advisory agency and a higher education sourcing agency that delivers scholarships for individuals who want to grow their career. And one of the um, degree programs that Destiny Education is currently pushing out is the tech degree programs. But we're going to talk about that much later. So we just want to kick off right now with let's have a conversation with Adora. Adora, she said she is a software engineer with Microsoft, and so she's going to talk about the value of a technology degree. And I know you said something about you keep being keen to education and all that. So I want to ask you, what are the main advantages of pursuing a technology degree for you? What have you noticed is the advantage right now in the current global trends? What are the advantages of pursuing a technology degree?
Um, the main advantage for me is that when you get like a computer science degree or like a tech degree anyway, you are grounded in the fundamentals, and it's better for you to start your career like being grounded, because it's going to allow you move across like multiple spheres and even grow faster. I'm going to use myself as an example. I don't think I've ever come out to say I'm a front end developer, or I'm a back end developer, or I'm a cybersecurity analyst. Throughout my career, I've been three of these things and more. And the
Mm,
reason I'm able to move across different spheres without having issues, because you find a lot of people say, oh, I learned front end development with Udacity, so I am a front end developer, right? That's all I am. If you sometimes they would even go as far as saying, I'm a front end developer with React. If you bring Vue.js to me, I don't know how to use it. These are like JavaScript frameworks. These are tools that we use to build websites. So basically, I use this tool. If you bring any other tool to me, I don't know how to use this tool. Don't stress me. But like, we're throwing away the fundamentals. And now more than ever, the tech industry was in a bubble for a very, very long time. You see a lot of people that were coming into tech because they felt like tech is going to be the way that would, get them a bunch of opportunities that other industries don't give them. Tech is a way for them to like, escape. Tech is easy, easy in quotes, because like I can start learning about tech today and in 6 months I've gotten my first job. With what the industry is currently saying, that's no longer possible, or that's no longer as, you know, common as it was maybe like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. But like, if you're someone with that goes the formal education route, if you're someone with a CS degree, because now people care more about, people are going back to the fundamentals. A lot of things are resetting just because of the fact that that bubble has finally burst, right? So you want to make sure that you are in the right place and you've equipped yourself with the right knowledge to grasp a lot of things. I'm going to use one of my friends as an example as well. He's currently now in, we were classmates in school. He's moved to Germany. Before he moved, he was working in a tech startup here in Lagos. And I remember one of those days, like on their team, he was working there as a backend developer, right? But there was a day that on their team, they were having like database related issues. And he's just like, oh, you know what? Don't worry. Let me just look at it and I can sort out the thing and I would write the query. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, where did you learn SQL? And he's like, school. Right? Like there's some things that, because you get to touch a little of a lot of things. You get introduced to managing tech projects. You get introduced to front end development, back end development. You learn about cloud computing. You do data structures and algorithms. You learn how to think like a software engineer, right? These things help you, and you go through this process for 4 to 5 years, depending on the school that you are in. If it's a bachelor's degree, right, it's 4 to 5 years. Some schools 3, and you're just able to be involved in that process. Some schools, if you're there, you do internships every year, and it just helps you build your technical muscle a lot. And you find out that once you graduate and you're beginning to look for jobs, there's no challenge, right, that will be thrown at you that you wouldn't be able to handle in the sphere of tech for your level, right? So I would always advise people to you know um start with seeking formal education if they can't. It's a different thing if you can't, then you have to transition. But if you have the opportunity to, getting to a point where, and COVID was the beginning of the problem, where it's a problem, and it's also an opportunity for more things to happen and things like that. But a problem is still a problem, right? A lot of companies were moving their businesses to the internet because of COVID and everything. And obviously, I saw an article, because I like to read all these things sometimes, and I saw that the number of companies that were hacked, the number of companies that were attacked by cyber attackers, during that COVID year increased by 80%. That's a large number. That's a very,
Interesting.
very, very large number. So now more than ever, cybersecurity is very important, in companies, especially now that everyone is there's some companies that during COVID became remote companies, and after COVID never went back to being, come to the office companies, right? And there's some companies that have moved their businesses to the internet during COVID, and even now that COVID is over, even if people are going back to the office, everything is still on the internet. They're not moving back to on-prem anymore, right? So because now a lot of things are on the internet, on the cloud, data is shared on the internet, a lot of things is happening. It's become more important to take on cybersecurity roles, and I'm seeing more opportunities actually springing up in cybersecurity a lot more recently, even more than software development, if I'm being honest. So definitely cybersecurity is the first one I would mention. The next one is artificial intelligence, right? And when I talk about artificial intelligence, I'm talking about the entire sphere, right? Oh yeah, so cybersecurity and IT security, because in the MSIT programs, those are like two different ones. So cybersecurity and IT security, definitely like very important. The next one I want to talk about is AI, artificial intelligence, and I'm talking about across different spheres. So artificial intelligence, is basically, let me talk about, let me break it down a bit, which is like artificial intelligence is like computers being able to make decisions, right? If that makes sense. Things like that, generally being able to learn, unlearn, make decisions, fake their intelligence, like as if they, in quotes, had like a real brain. I mean, it's just like a bunch of connected neurons and things, but like, you know like as if they had a real brain, essentially, right? And to be able to do that, a lot of learning needs to happen. And what can we say computers will learn from? Data available to them. So artificial intelligence is riding on the wave of data. So that's why you hear things like, oh, I want to train AI models. When you're training an AI model, what you're actually just doing is feeding those models with a lot of data so that they can, you know, create patterns from those data and like learn things and how to make decisions and how to infer things, basically. What this means is that data roles, data science, data analytics, these are roles that are important in the context of artificial intelligence. Machine learning is also important as well. Now we're seeing tools like ChatGPT. We're seeing AI tools helping people write articles. We're seeing big companies like Google and Microsoft, integrating AI into their search engines, their work tools. We're seeing generative and conversational AI tools like ChatGPT. Now is the best time to tap into that wave and it would be very, very useful to you. Back to data as well. Another program is database architecture and design. It's important even in the context of the cloud, and even going back to like data rules like I was talking about before. And this is another program that, this is another MSIT program as well, right? So when you do database architecture and design, you learn about databases, you learn about how to structure databases in your application, you learn about building database as a service tools and things like that. And this would help you either if you are building a cloud service that has a database, or if you are just like, trying to learn how to query different databases as someone that wants to work in the data sector generally. So this is also something that is very, very, very important. Not everyone is going to be technical. So, in the context of product management or project management or program management, there's also IT management, which is another place to start intelligence technology and warfare. Um, so you learn like these different technologies, and I mean that technologies are like tech tools as well, right? So if you want to do, if you care about, if you're one of those people that cares about defending countries and the military, or you know military intelligence or all these things like that, the fact that you don't only have to be a soldier like fighting to be in the military, right? So there are other roles that actually help the military stay as the military, because they need to do surveillance, they need to understand what parts of the country actually um are in a certain situation that we need to go make sure it's calm at the moment. I'm flying drones around, I need to just do surveillance to be sure that everything is in the right place. Or we have some hardware stipulated in different places, and we're supposed to get the data that this hardware is reading into our systems, and do some analysis and things like that. So observing the nation basically, and tech is a very big thing in that regard. So if you're someone that cares about things like that, that is also another program that I found interesting: military defense. So I've talked about cybersecurity, I've talked about the cloud, I've talked about data and AI, and I've also talked about data in the context of like business intelligence and management, as well as the military thing that I just talked about. So these are very, very interesting programs. And I'm sure that if you take one of them, you will definitely find a fit for yourself somehow in one of all these things.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to bring Maya into this conversation, but before we do that, so let me ask you this. When you say there are spaces, if you take the degree, then you definitely have a career path in tech. Now, some person might be thinking, okay, how easy is it? How easy is it to have a career and grow a career in tech? Now, you've been in that space. Can you tell us a bit about your experience with, getting your degree, then coming out and also landing yourself a job? Was it something that is it rocket science, or you need a bit of more expertise as you grow on to start a career in tech?
To start your career, if I'm being very honest, you don't need so much. But when I say you don't need so much, people just always assume that okay, bare minimum is enough. No, you have to be seen as someone that can add value. And like I said, there was a bubble, the bubble burst. So even if you were going to get into tech before with the bare minimum, right now you can't. So you still need to put in that value. I graduated from uni in 2017, even if I had started working since 2016. Now I've been working in tech since 2016, so that's like what, already 7 years. And in that time, what I've learned is that it's not only about what your degree is, but it's also about what you can do. So, as we're talking about these degrees, I want people to understand that it's important to leverage on these degrees and learn. Don't go and just pass your way through, fulfill all righteousness, and come out and think that you're going to be you know having like a best career. People would notice things faster because tech is all about your hands. It's more about you doing than you claiming that you can do, if that makes sense. Getting into the industry, obviously now we are in a season, so I can't say that oh it's going to be easy or it's going to be hard, because the industry is evolving and going through some drastic changes. However, historically, if you are someone of value, has some kind of projects that you've built to show for it, education is also always very nice, right? And you can build things, it's clear that you can build. you will be looking, like people will be looking for you. Basically, you will be sought after. And I'm saying this because now more than ever, people are getting to the point where everything is becoming tech enabled. Even traditional companies are in quotes becoming tech companies because now tech is enabling their business. So even if you don't get to work for those very big technology companies that are providing those services to the rest of the world, you can work for the rest of the world and you will still be in quotes working in tech in that situation. So the opportunities exist and they are endless, but you
So regardless of wherever you are in the world, as long as you have more like an African passport, you're able to leverage on this offer. So technically, with with the grant, you get to pay just 10% of the tuition fee. So ideally, let's say a program that would cost you, let's say, $26,000 per academic session, you get to pay a fraction of that. That's 10%, and that could, would be 2,600 US dollars per academic session, right? And so the good thing about the the program is that it is career focused, and I like the fact that she mentioned, you have to be able to be really technical. You have to be good at what you do. And so the programs are geared towards that. It is geared towards helping you be equipped, you know, because the curriculum is industry relevant, is industry current, so you're equipped with what's happening right now and not necessarily, what has been, so that's part of it. And also, for some persons, they're also concerned about the fact that, for certain programs that they want to do, if it's accredited and all that, as regard accreditations, the programs are accredited. It has HLC accreditation, it also has um, regional accreditation. So, but basically, HLC in a Nigerian context would be what NUC is, which is Nigerian University Commission. So those are in Nigeria. Those are like the body that certifies universities or institutions to say, okay, you are licensed to do these programs. But in the US, it's called HLC, which is Higher Learning Commission. So the institution has the accreditation from Higher Learning Commission. Then also, it also has like regional accreditation. So for context sake, regional accreditation speaks of the acceptability of the degree. Because sometimes when certain persons are doing, especially international degree, they want to be certain that, okay, can this degree be, accepted globally, or is just within the national where it's acquired. So it is accepted globally. So that's what regional accreditation is. Because if you categorically look at it, accreditations are based off of regions and national. So the institution has regional accreditation. And also, for some persons, they'll say, okay, I might not be able to come up with, the entire payment at once, especially if, for instance, you're doing a bachelor's program. Bachelor's program with us, it's usually just 34 months, which is 2 years and 10 months, but it is 4 academic sessions. So you might say, okay, and if an academic session is 2,600 US dollars, I might not be able to come up with that, at once. We still got you covered. You're able to pay semester by semester, and an academic session basically has just 3 semesters. So in the US it's called quarters or term, but here in Nigeria we know it as semester. So each term or each quarter or each semester, it's basically made up of 10 weeks, right? So every 10 weeks interval you get to make a payment. So depending on the program that you're doing.
Adora, I wanted to ask you in terms of other specific industries right now. I don't want to change my career, but I don't want to change a career path, but I want to still get IT skills. I want to still get a degree in tech. Do you think that, let's say, let me give an industry, for instance, healthcare. Do you think there is a space for the demand for an IT professional in the healthcare space if someone doesn't want to change their career, but they want to get an IT degree as well? Would you say that there is sort of like that's growing need for technical experts in every industry?
short answer is yes. Short answer is definitely yes. Let's start with healthcare, right? Like you mentioned. So I'll start with healthcare. Um, Tech can play like a crucial role in healthcare and in improving, healthcare processes, and you can even tap into that, right? The first thing I want to talk about is wearable devices. We've seen everybody, oh, I have my own Fitbit, I have my Apple Watch, I have my whatever, whatever. And these wearables have been very useful to help people actually account for how active they are in a day. And if maybe you are someone that is trying to increase your body metabolism, or you're someone that is trying to lose weight, or maybe you've gone to the hospital and your doctor has said, do this, these physical activities every day, it helps you track that. And I mean, there's also possibly, if you have like if it's a very serious ailment that you have, right? Tracking that information and then constantly sharing that information with, the medical practitioners that need that information to, um, provide you with the best possible solution to your problem. Do you understand? Like, it can track a lot of things, like even apart from like, oh, your daily steps and all of that. It can track your sleep patterns. It can track other different like vital signs, heart rates as well, right? Over time, constantly. And this is one involvement of tech in healthcare. Another thing is, just to have electronic health records, digitizing the patient's records. So that one now, like, it will be easy to share and access information across like different healthcare providers, right? For example, I don't know if the industry is there yet, but this is a possible use case. I live in Nigeria right now. My doctor is like, my hospital is a Nigerian hospital. And let's say I wake up one day and then I relocate, right? And then I get a new doctor because I'm in a new city. I registered in a new hospital. I'm like, starting a new life. Obviously, that does not mean that I have new health history. My medical history is still my medical history. So if there's a way to, transfer that medical history so that the new doctors that I'm now dealing with actually understand what I have been dealing with in the past and can make better informed decisions on how to handle my case, right? And even beyond like medical doctors, like I've talked about before, like even beyond software developers, tech still needs other roles. Even beyond medical doctors, tech still needs other roles. Going to visit the doctor and things like that. That is not healthcare, in terms of like tech directly impacting healthcare, but tech is impacting that healthcare industry. And although in this particular telemedicine case, the only way that the doctor is interfacing with the tech is to see that somebody has requested their services and they are going there. However, there are people that will build these tools, there are people that will manage these tools, right? There are people that would even go around to onboard these hospitals so that their doctors can get on these tools as well. So, like, there are many ways, right? Even beyond healthcare as well. Like, let's look at finance, right? If you are someone that's a that is a that is maybe like an insurance professional, for example, or an analyst, a finance person, and you don't want to leave your job in one of all these neobanks that you work at, there's no reason why you can't, like, there's or rather you don't want to leave your job as a finance person, right? There's no reason why you can't also do that same thing in a fintech company, right? So like, there, and a lot of all these finance companies, to be honest, will become fintechs too at some point.
Take advantage of with the scholarship. Now, Amaya, I want to talk about the degree itself, the MSIT program. Now, the scholarship covers 90% of the tuition, right? That is a grant. It covers 90% of the tuition. And what can students do to get access to that? What sort of qualifications do they need to have to apply for this? Because it sounds really amazing for you to, get involved with. So what qualifications are there that they need?
Thank you so much, Boma. As regards qualification, you basically need to have your bachelor's, and the good thing with our program is even if you are able to, seamlessly transition into a tech background, even if you don't have like your prior degree. Let's say, for instance, you're doing a master's program and your prior background or your bachelor's program was not in tech. When you get into school, there's more like an abridged program that would be done so that you're able to, understand the basics and then carry onward from there. So you need a bachelor's degree, you need a valid means of identification, an international passport or driver's license or voter's card or NIN. Any of those, means can be used as a valid ID. You also need your transcript, and the transcript it needs to be evaluated to the US standard. The reason for the evaluation is because it's an American institution, the school will just want to know what's the American equivalence of your prior acquired degree. So you need at least a 2.0 on a 4-point American scale. Off of the top of our heads, we're not able to do that. But so that's why you are required to do an evaluation. And so we have several third-party evaluation bodies that you could use. I think the popular one that lots of persons are aware of is WES, which is World Evaluation Services. You would need to do that. Then also you would need your CV. This just helps us get to know you a bit better in terms of, work, what you've been about, what your interests are, things like that. Then you would also need to just have, access to good internet and a computer, because it's going to be virtual campus. Although the university has an asynchronous app that allows you, be able to learn on the go, but you're still required to have access to good internet and a computer. And lastly, just proof of fund. By proof of fund, just either your account statement or that of your sponsor, something that lets us know that you'll be able to cover the 10%, considering universities opting to cover 90% on your behalf. And in terms of proof of fund, we're not requiring you to have the entirety of the program cost, whether it's a bachelor's or master's or doctoral program. We just need to see that at least you can cover your first semester. And so for each program, it varies, but if you're doing a master's or a bachelor's, your first semester tuition is just $1,400. If you're doing a doctoral program, your first semester tuition is just $900. So technically, those are like the things you just need to have, and an open mind as well to be able to what
Okay.
we're offering.
Yeah, great. You mentioned something. You said if you study, let's say I did for my bachelor's, I did food science, and I want to do an MSIT in IT management. Am I allowed to do that?
Of course you are. Like I said, the world has advanced now. You might not have a background in that, but when you get on campus,
Research, identify global job opportunities that align with their career goals and interests. Because I did an IT management, MSIT in IT management, for instance, but I need to identify a global job opportunity for myself. What are the things that I need to, secure that job right after I graduate and I have my degree?
So I would say that it's important to do some research, usually before you start taking a course or before you enroll for a program, especially an advanced degree. It's important to identify the opportunities that are relevant or that are available for people who have that particular degree. So read articles, read trends, so data on trends, or white paper publications on maybe emerging trends or some kinds of projections. So I like to read at the start and at the end of every year. I like to read projections for the next year. Like they would say, oh, these are the jobs that are more likely to be high in demand. Maybe in 2023, for instance, I read that you may find my advice helpful. So always try to speak to career advisors like that and use the opportunity desks. Also, job boards, both paid and unpaid job boards, are a very good source of information. So one thing that I do is read job descriptions. Sometimes maybe you have a master's degree, maybe you have in information sciences or anywhere, and then you're wondering, what can I do with this? You can look at job boards, you can look at different career paths. Maybe you're also struggling with which one to choose. You probably have a plethora of options available to you and you don't know what to choose. Job boards are a good way of finding something, because I'm saying job boards because that's where all kinds of vacancies are listed and you can look at job descriptions. Usually job descriptions try to be as precise as possible with regards to knowledge requirements, skill sets requirements, and then they also itemize what you are expected to do on a day-to-day basis. So usually you're able to find information there that is helpful. You can see what maybe you want to start working in as an analyst. You can see what an analyst is expected to be doing every day. You can see the skill set that an analyst needs to have. You can decide from there if it's something you want to do. Do I want to be doing this for the next year, for the next 2 years, for the next 5 years? Do I think maybe I should try and do something else? Those are things that you can do. And then use social media, really. Platforms like Twitter and LinkedIn are found they are the most useful, especially because they are mostly text based. I know that sometimes some of these threads, people, might complain that maybe it's too much, it's a little nerve wracking, it's like information overload. But a lot of them are also very helpful. Many people are writing a lot these days. People are publishing books, people are writing newsletters, people are writing articles on Medium, people are just, they are simply tweeting, just helpful resources on a daily basis. They are building all kinds of online communities on these platforms. You should take full advantage of that as well. There are always all kinds of guides. I know that there are a number of people who publish newsletters. You should subscribe to these newsletters, and people are telling their own career stories. It's easier to learn from somebody who is telling you, this is what I did, these are the mistakes I made that you shouldn't repeat. This is what I did right, that you may want to emulate. It's easier to learn from people like that who are actually telling their stories. So these are different, resources that one can leverage or you can take full advantage of, to be able to make sense of um, the knowledge that you have gained from school.
I want to talk about trends, emerging trends. Trends happen every day, and there are trends, the opportunities in the global job markets. Now, for an expert in that space, what are the things that candidates should be aware of, when they're trying to apply for a job, and how can they position themselves to take advantage of those trends?
Okay. I would say for one, you have to understand, like Adora said, tech is the enabler. So tech savviness is required in almost every field these days. Even if you're working as a nurse, it helps if you're at least tech savvy. At least you need to be computer literate. You need to be tech savvy to a certain point. You need to be open minded actually to the use of technology, just to improve your own work or enable growth in your own work. And so tech savviness is going to be a requirement for almost every job. Maybe the only people who would not be required to be very tech savvy, probably janitors or something, but literally everybody else is going to be required to use technology somehow in the course of their work. Also, you have to understand that because unemployment is high, like for instance, because of COVID, there was, an employment boom. Everybody was getting remote jobs. There was a lot of borderless recruitment at the time. And now the whole world is facing some sort of recession. There's war going on between Russia and Ukraine. It's affecting a lot. And companies are starting to let staff go. So unemployment is on the rise, right? It's never really a talent market because, like it or not, employers would always have the advantage. They don't have the money, right? They are the ones who have the work. Yeah, and you're the ones. We are the ones who are looking for work from their hands. So whichever way, it's always going to be an employer's market of sorts. So because unemployment is increasing, degree inflation is also going to be on the rise. When I say degree inflation, I mean people now having to get advanced degrees or certifications to land jobs that on a normal day maybe a bachelor's would have given them, or jobs that usually just combining a bachelor's degree and some experience, it would be enough. So because degree inflation is on the rise, it's important that people equip themselves. Like, don't slack. Don't assume that, you know what, why am I taking this particular course? Take courses that are available. Take advantage of programs that propel you to the top. Take advantage of, like for instance, if uh if if an institution is offering you 90% scholarship, you should take full advantage of it. Take it while you have it, because degree inflation is on the rise. Once again, people are prioritizing master's degrees, they are prioritizing professional certifications, they are prioritizing advanced diplomas. It's just important that you get these things, whether it is fair or not. It is something that is happening. That is where the world is right now, because unemployment is high. Competition between talent and job seekers is very high. So you're competing against people who have maybe worked, even if it's 6 months in Google. It's still not the same thing as you who has not worked in Google. So you're competing with very highly skilled people, very high quality talent. So you need to give yourself as much edge as is possible. I would also say that you should prepare yourself to participate in the gig economy. So I am a big advocate of the gig economy. I think that many people are going to end up doing a lot of part-time jobs. It's not everybody that is going to work in Amazon. Definitely not everyone is going to work at Google or uh any of the Fortune 500 companies in the US or in any other country for that matter. You should be prepared for the gig economy. For instance, say you're a developer in Nigeria, or a cybersecurity expert or a data analyst in Nigeria, and you're not landing, you haven't landed at your dream job with Amazon or with Netflix or with whoever, and but you know your stuff. You have the skill set. One Nigerian company may not be available to pay you the kind of money that you think you deserve, and while you think that maybe you're selling yourself short, you still need to build a portfolio, you still need to build some experience. Prepare for the gig economy. That means sometimes companies would not be able to offer you as high an amount or remuneration as you would want, but you can offer your services as some sort of freelancer or consultant to a number of organizations. You may want to set up your own outfit just on the side, gather some people together who, like you, are willing to provide services to other companies. That helps you to build more context. When I say context, I mean, um so for instance, Adora mentioned that you can be a lawyer and work in tech, you can be a finance expert and work in tech. That's correct. What context helps you do is, for instance, if you are a software developer who works in fintech, you may not be you may not necessarily be able to transfer all of those skills to the next industry. So usually you need context. So it's easy for a medical doctor, right, to transition into technology, in healthcare. It's easy for a finance expert to transition into technology in the finance industry. That's how it works. But usually when you are like maybe more fluid, you work in cybersecurity, you work as a data analyst, you work as a solutions architect, you're able to still hop between industries, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be transitioning per time. And if you tap into the gig economy, if you're able to consult and provide your services to a wide number of companies or businesses, you're able to build context, you're able to build expertise in more than one industry, and that gives you an edge as well. Also, soft skills are what make the difference. Don't Your hard skills are definitely good enough, but they are not enough to land you the job. So now there's a saying that if you're going to have to hire between somebody who has bad attitude and somebody who has all the skills, somebody who has bad attitude with all the tech skills, or technical skills rather, and somebody who has a good attitude and still needs a little bit of brushing around the edges, go for the person with good attitude. When they say good attitude, they don't necessarily mean, oh, the person that is most polite or whatever. They're just mostly talking about soft skills. Somebody who can communicate, somebody who has team spirit, somebody who has empathy, someone who has respect for other people's time and other people's work. You know, Soft skills, somebody who is a good leader. You don't want to hire somebody to lead your team and everybody's resigning because of them, no matter how smart. If you have a team of 20 people, then you hire this really smart, great guy or lady, and then their attitude just puts everyone off. And now 15 out of 20 people have resigned. You still have a team short 15 people, and their skills, for all it is worth, is making you it's costing you more money, right, and more resources. So people are hiring for soft skills, companies are hiring for soft skills. It is very important. While you're building technical skills, please also build soft skills. They make all the difference. When it comes to it, when the company or the recruiter or the employer has to make a decision between different candidates, soft skills are how they decide, you know what, this person is great, but maybe he didn't really demonstrate like team spirit, because it looks like he was taking credit for everyone's work, whereas this other person was able to communicate how they participated in a team, they gave accolades to people where it was due. Soft skills make all the difference. So build a lot of soft skills. And then tech. Big tech has put all of us in overdrive. We're all forward now. So you need to prepare for early leadership. Gone are the times when you would have to work 8 years, 10 years before you could lead a team. Nah, these days, somebody who's been working 3 years or 4 years to tell you that they are senior engineers and this and that, you have to prepare yourself for early leadership. 2 years and 3 years into your job, you are supposed to be eligible for more leadership positions, especially if you're someone who isn't. Uh, these days, people aren't staying that long on jobs, which is fine, I guess. But if you're someone like that who would like to build across different companies, you want to do a lot of work, in the industry or in different industries, within a certain, before 10 years is up, I'm sure you have very big targets. Prepare yourself for early leadership. You don't want to be jumping and having parallel careers and having parallel moves rather, where you go from associate to associate. You don't want to do that. You want a situation where you can be entrusted with leadership, because while you have the experience, you also have, like I said, build soft skills. You have the skills, you have the capability to lead people, to also teach people, bring people up. These are most of the emerging trends. Lastly, I would like to mention that your social media is very important when you're looking for work these days, especially if you're looking for work in the global environment. It means that you are having to accommodate and adopt new cultures. You can't afford to be um stiff and close-minded, especially on your social media. You have to be conscious of the things that you say. You don't necessarily have to adopt everyone's politics, but you also do not have to be hateful about other people's politics, about other people's beliefs. So you need to mind the things that you are doing on your social media, the people that you are engaging on your social media. You see situations where they go and dig up people's past tweets, and they have offers getting withdrawn, like, oh, we're sorry, we're not able to proceed with this offer based on XYZ situation. You don't want that happening to you. So um when you're dealing with the global environment, please also clean up your social media, because many more and more companies are going to look through social media to see exactly who they're hiring. They don't want to have to face controversy or face bad PR because somebody said something, terrible, horrible, hateful, whatever, on social media. I would say that, yeah, these are the, I guess, 4 or 5, 6 emerging trends now that every single job seeker should pay attention to.
Thank you very much, okay. I appreciate that insight there. Amaya, I want to bring you into this. Now, she mentioned something about what American Intercontinental University has on their career, helping people, advancing their career in so we're giving counseling, advisory services, and all that. And I think that someone asked a question here, if the university is online. Can you, and yeah, the university is online, but they do have an on-ground campus. But this grant or scholarship, this 90% scholarship is offered for the online campus. But then, Amaya, can you elaborate more about the American Intercontinental University online campus experience? So someone who has decided to take up this offer, and study online while they still have a career, while they're still working, they don't need to drop their job and go to school, they can work and do all that. But can you explain to us about the online campus, what it looks like, how it feels?
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Poma. As regards the virtual campus, how it looks like and feel. For starters, the school has an adaptive learning feature. So what that means is your preferred learning style is taken into cognizance. So every person on the surface of the earth has one or two learning style. What that means is how you best assimilate information or knowledge. For some persons, they're auditory. For some persons, what that means is that you need to hear often to be able to comprehend what it is that you're learning. For some persons, they are visual oriented. That means you need to see it in terms of pictures, to make better sense of it. Then, so for some persons, they are more kinesthetic, right? So that's like a mix or a blend of, both auditory, visual, and it's more about look and feel, right? And so the adaptive learning feature takes that into cognizance. And so once they know that, your learnings would be mostly crafted in that way. So for each class or each class, I'll just say each class, it's more like a boot camp kind of thingy. Yeah. Max 20 to 30 persons each. Everybody gets to know everybody. I remember that I had highlighted that, the school has an asynchronous app. And so sometimes you might not necessarily meet up with the live classes, not because you don't want to, but because of the time difference. So depending on the time of the year, it's usually 6 or 7 hours difference. They use CST. Recently, they entered daylight saving mode, and so now it's now more like 7 hours. Before it was 6 hours. So imagine if a class is scheduled for 3 p.m. their time, that would most likely be 10 p.m. our time. So if you're someone that lives in Lagos or you live in a busy city, most likely you're trying to get home or you're already tired, so you might not necessarily have the time to attend the class. But the good news is it would be on your dashboard, and through the app, the messenger app, on the phone or your tabloid, you're able to have like a direct access to your lecturer or the faculty member, the person taking that course. So you can just watch and ask questions, and answers will be given. So the school prides itself with having more like a, they call it graduate support team, like people that are there to just help you from when you get into campus to when you finish. So you have like the personalized, learning style as well. Then in terms of exams, I know that in Nigeria we're all used to exams, but the school does not do the conventional exam that we're used to here in Nigeria, whereby you go to classes, let's say the very first 3.5 months of a semester, the fourth month, everybody's running up and down to try to write exams. No, you are assessed on the go. The reason for that is because they want you to pay rapt attention to everything you're learning as you go. So, right, you're assessed on the go, and there are various ways that they do that. So there's something called, there's IntelliPath, there's discussion board, the assignments, and they're like capstone projects, right? So I'll just run through those things. So the IntelliPath is more like at the beginning of every coursework, um, the adaptive learning features gets to ask you more like a mind map kind of thing. It's to just decipher where exactly you are in terms of knowledge base, and it's color coded, lemon, yellow, and red. So those color coding just helps them know where exactly are your strong points and your weak points. The reason for that is because they want to be able to save time. Remember, I said the programs are shortened. Masters is 11 months, bachelor's is 34 months, which is 2 years and 10 months. So sometimes you relatively want to skip things you already know and focus on the things you don't know yet. So you have that in place as well. Then for discussion board is, if it was a live class, it's more like, the lecturer asking a question and you would probably raise up your hand or you'll be pointed at to answer the question. But discussion board for contemporary understanding, it's more like if you post something on, let's say here on Twitter, and somebody goes under, and then replies, so it's more like the lecturer posting something on the dashboard. Everybody in the class gets to see it. You're required to say what you think about it, and your classmates are also required to comment on what you've said, and vice versa. So you're also graded with that. Assignments are due once every 2 weeks. You're graded with that. Then capstone project is more like you taking what you've learned in that entire course and then applying it and coming back with feedback. So you see that it's very, very, hands-on. So there's no learning for a long protracted time, then coming back to write exams. No, you are assessed on the go. So basically, this is pretty much. Then also in terms of the virtual campus, it looks more like the way it feels and looks more like the way LinkedIn is. Yeah, because people don't get to see you. It's how you present yourself there that people get to want to connect with you, or how you answer questions or just talk about things, or in your own dashboard, just like and the last speaker spoke about that people get to want to connect with you and just say, okay, this person seems like an interesting person, I want to connect with you. So once you're on the virtual campus, regardless of the course that you're doing, you have access to the entire virtual campus, everybody doing the program, so pretty much about it.
And that's a good way to network. That's a good way to network. I remember while we're trying to do this, a student who is currently doing his doctorate, I believe, has currently networked with another person in the US, and both of them are working on a book together. Mike, can you just talk about that for a
Oh,
bit? Let's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
understand that.
Okay, so yes, that's true. His name is Larry Ogundeji. Larry happens to be a multiple award-winning, educator here in Nigeria. I think he works with Green Springs in Lagos. So he's currently doing his doctoral program at one of our partner universities called Trident University. I think he's in his last year now because he started out in the COVID time. So I remember one of the times we were interviewing him on our student corner, and he said that never would he have imagined that he would be in the same class with a US, major general, that he has a classmate as a US major general. And, he has been able to link up with him. And he also mentioned that, there's another lady that's also been an educator for probably for like 20 years. And he has been struggling with writing a particular book on a certain area. And that happens to be, the area where it's like the ladies' forte. And so he was saying that, if he hadn't taken advantage of the offer, he wouldn't have had access to the lady who has now, promised to, co-author the book with him, and also, network with the other persons as well. So as much as I think it was Nayen that mentioned that as much as you know, go for education and all that, you want to also make the most of the experience, right? Leverage on connecting with people, because you're not just going to meet Nigerians there. There are Nigerians that are there, but there are Africans that are there as well, like yourself taking advantage of the grants. But there are also people from other parts of the world, Indian, the UK, America, different parts of the world. And okay, I didn't mention that there's also the time where you get to do like more like a team presentation, right? And so by that, you get to also see what is obtainable in the landscape where that person is, domiciled or resident in. And you get to also get a perspective of what it is. And through you, they also get to get a perspective of what it is, what your realities are. So it's also, an experience in which you're able to just broaden your horizon as much as you're acquiring technical skills for yourself. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Amaya. I know we're wrapping up right now, but I want to ask you this because we've talked about the 10% tuition grant. You talked about the 90% offer as well. But then tell us a bit about how students are able to pay their tuition. Do they pay to Destiny Education or do they pay to the university? And how do they pay all that?
Okay, so as regards payments, you pay directly to the university, right? But there are few cases where we help facilitate payments. And in those cases are like rare cases, but we do that. So you typically most Nigerians like to, get the dollar cheaper, and so they opt for Form A. I wouldn't necessarily call it Form A anymore. It's because you no longer feel it at the bank. You then use the Trade Commission's website in doing that. So your Naira account is funded and the Naira equivalence is taken out from your account and sent directly to the school. But that process takes a longer time. So if you have a DOM account, you can also do that. That's much more seamless. Or the third option is if you use any of these, fintechs app that are used for making international transactions, you can also use that. But we also facilitate payments, but that's like the last option. Um, at the exchange rate that we do it at is it's a little bit above the CBN rates and a little bit below the black market rate, just somewhere in the middle. So we do help facilitate, payments. So if you're unable to do an academic session, like I mentioned earlier on, you're able to also just leverage on the instrumental payment plan where you pay semester by semester. So yeah.
And as we're wrapping up right now, I'd like to, ask for some last words from Funke as a career, expert. What would you like to say to someone who done with a degree and then they are finding it difficult to seek it? Because right now, a lot of people are going for jobs that are outside the country. What would you advise that person who is, searching for that opportunity?
So I would say, for one, try to use your LinkedIn. There are a lot of resources at your disposal. Like, there are a lot of resources that you can leverage. My friend always says, and I think I've said this thing several times, that my friend says we are all maybe one or two tweets away from some celebrity, say maybe Kanye West or the president of the United States for that matter. So use your social media, connect with people. And when we say networking, it's not, maybe showing up at events or conferences with your CV, expecting people to do you favors. That's not really networking. Networking is value exchange. I'm doing something for you, you're doing something for me. We are both, it's mutually beneficial, right? So be ready to provide value. Let people know you for something. When you show up at conferences, let it be and you're talking to people, let it not be that you're just trying to take and take and take. Use your LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is very helpful. And the algorithm is so good. Like, it literally just needs you to give it to help it to help you. Do you understand? So all you need to do is feed it information. You're looking for XYZ job right now. Go on LinkedIn, search for the job, search for the location, turn on job alerts every single day. LinkedIn would notify you. If you look for a job today and you apply for, maybe you see something that you think you will be a good fit for, and you apply for it, LinkedIn starts to send you similar jobs. They'll say, oh, we found 23 similar 23 jobs similar to XYZ position that you applied for. Or if you set up job alerts, you get vacancies literally every day in your email. Download the app. I believe in using the app instead of just waiting and checking via web. Also, use the open to feature when when recruiters are using LinkedIn recruiter tool, it's easy. They just use filters, right? And LinkedIn is going to show them people who have said, maybe I'm looking for a job as a data analyst in, I need it to be remote. You've ticked remote. I'm open to jobs in North America. I'm open to jobs in, North America, that's USA, Canada, and the likes. Do that. And I also advise that I don't know, restrict isn't the word, but for lack of a better word, restrict yourself to regions in the world. So don't say that, you want a job in Germany and at the same time you want a job in the US, or you're also willing to take a job in Australia. If one comes from Dubai, then you're happy to take it. Not necessarily. You may want to just pick one part of the world. You can decide that you want to work in Europe. Pick Europe and look for work in Europe. You may decide you want to do it in North America. Just do that. It helps you to, I've said this before, it helps you to build context, especially with your applications. So the way that you interview for jobs, you need to learn, for the sake of, just cultural differences, you need to learn how interviews go. You need to learn how the kind of resumes that, they require, the kind of experiences that, you're required to have, the knowledge and skill set and all that you're required to have. It's not really the same thing. What is obtainable for a Nigerian company may not be the same thing that's obtainable for a German company. So, for instance, if you're applying in Germany, you may be required to put your picture on your CV. The US just needs you to write something very brief. Preferably, if you can keep it at 1 page or 2 pages, that's fine. Other countries may require you, Canada may require you to have a more extensive CV, things like that. So if you're just submitting applications everywhere because you're looking for global opportunities, you may miss out on things that are very interesting. So me, I think you should keep it simple and be very precise. This is what I want to do. This is the market where I want to do it for the next couple of years. Look for jobs there. If you're looking for global opportunities there and you want to, work for European companies, there are a ton of them available that, would be willing to hire you. It doesn't mean that you should go and start looking for work in Australia as well, and in Dubai, and in this and in that. And if you say you want to work, you can decide to pick EMEA, for example. That would, Europe, Middle East, Africa. You can do that as well. So you should know the regions where you're working. The way that companies the way they categorize jobs, you would see LATAM, which is Latin America. You would see North America, which is United States and Canada. You would see EMEA, like I said before. Sometimes you would see them say, oh, for the Asian Pacific. They are also talking about time zones, by the way. So you may not always be good for everything. And if you're putting applications out everywhere, then you're not doing a very precise job. You're also maybe doing yourself a disservice. Take your time. You will get a lot of no's. You have to get used to getting, rejections. It's not, honestly, I don't know. Obviously, it's depressing, but like I don't know why people are so scared of it. It's literally the worst case scenario. The worst thing that will happen is that the recruiter or the employer would say no. It's the worst thing that can happen. But the best thing is what you need to pay, like focus all your energy on. Try to get a yes. You will get a lot of no's. Chest it. Every time I made the application, I expected to see a no. I always make peace with the worst case scenario. So if it ever came and it was no, I'm like, such is life, and I'm moving on to the next thing, right? And then when the yes comes, you celebrate it. So get ready to get a lot of rejections. You will bag a lot of rejections. But when you get that final big win, also celebrate it and take it very seriously. The job market is not smiling with anybody right now. So please take your work very seriously. Also participate in the gig economy. If you cannot land a job, be willing to take part-time gigs, be willing to take freelance gigs, contract gigs, be willing to take all those kinds of things. In the meantime, it helps you to build experience over the years, and then eventually when you land something really big, it prepares you for all of it. So, and I wish you good luck in all your endeavors.
Thank you very much, Funke, for that insight. And as I said, we're wrapping up right now. But I have to ask Adora this. Funke talked about the career, global careers, and how to get it, how to secure it. And then we started this conversation with tech degrees and everything. So let's wrap it up with tech degrees too. So what advice would you give to someone considering a technology degree right now? What would you say to that person?
I would say listen to everything Funke has said. One and two, I would also say now it has become more important now more than ever to hone your skills, do a good job with building the network, following up with the people that they network with, and all of that. So I would say join communities. Communities can be a safe space for you, right? Communities give you access to so many people that are like you, building things, learning how to build things, looking for opportunities, people that recently just got opportunities and are willing to share. Like, it is like a big support group of thousands of people. And you can tap into it's even going to be easier to network in a community than it is going to be easier when you try to send someone a cold LinkedIn message or a Twitter DM. If both of you are in the same Slack group, it might be that there was an announcement on Slack that was made, and because of that, somebody commented on something, and then you two you've gone to also comment on that thing, and it's like, oh, please, I'll send you a DM. I need your help with this, and that's how you can start to talk to people. Join communities. Communities, number one, make your network broader because that networking effect is very, very important. I'll tell you for free. I've only had to apply for one job in my life, and that is the effects of networking. I've only had to apply for one job in my life because normally what I will just do is talk to other people around me like, I'm looking for a job or I'm looking for a job. Next thing, I'll hook you up with this recruiter. I know someone because they already know my skills, right? They know me because we're in the same network. They know of what I can do, they know what I'm capable of, and they can vouch for me. They are okay recommending me to places, and that's it. To make sure you are always in that position where it's easy for you to grab these opportunities, network a lot, volunteer where it's possible because it would expose you to meeting more people. Yeah, join communities and all of that. And make sure you always present the value side. Like the last speaker said, it's not entitlement mentality that's going to take you far, right? There's no need trying to be entitled for things when you've actually not paid it forward in some way. So make sure you give value. And the funny thing about giving value is that even without trying so hard, once you start to give value, you will start to attract people, and you don't even know where your next opportunity is going to come from doing that. So focus on giving, even if you feel like you don't have a job yet. Volunteer. If you can do different things within the communities that you join, go ahead and do it. I'm not going to tell you that you must be a writer or a public speaker or all of that. It's not by force, right? However, find your strengths, leverage those strengths, and use that to apply yourself in tech, and with time things would find you. I like to focus more on attracting than on going out to find things. That's why I am big on networking as well as providing value, because these two things help attract opportunities to you.
Thank you very much, Adora. And this is where it sounds like, well, not a broken record, but as much as Funke has mentioned, soft skills, that's really important, networking, really important. And one of the few things that I know that American Intercontinental University does is to enable you to network on a global scale. So, Amaya, I'd like to ask you finally, in a few words, tell us why you feel that people should take advantage of the scholarship that covers 90% of their tuition, why they should take advantage of it, why they should also apply to degree programs that are currently in demand at this time.
All right, thank you, Guma. So, part of the reasons why I think it's necessary to take advantage of this is because of the value that comes with the degree program, what you're going to get from it in terms of the value, and also it's something that if you want world class education, and from where you are right now you're not able to just leave the country and all that, you can still get that same value for really relatively at a much more affordable rate, and you are able to schedule your education around your work or your life as regard depending on where you are at in life. So you're able to just schedule the learnings and the programs around what you already do. So taking advantage of this, it's to your utmost benefit. I currently we have a student that started out in January. Sometime last year, he told me that he was relocating to Canada, and would he be able to do this? I was like, yeah, sure, you can do this. And so in January, he started out, and he was saying to me, I'm starting out this program in January, and in my dashboard, I can already see that I'm going to wrap up in October. Is that true? And I'm like, yes, because if you calculate the semester by semester, it's basically 10 weeks each, and it's 4 semesters. So that's 40 weeks, and that's 10 months. I said, sure, you can do that. We've had students do that as well. And he's like, okay, he's excited about it. He was saying to me that, he has PR in Canada, but still he chose to do this with us because of the time frame. So for different persons, it's different things that, would would be attractive to you. For some persons, it would be the time frame. For some persons, it would be the fact that the program is globally recognized. For some persons, it would be the fact that the affordability of the program, and also for some persons is the value that comes with it, the prestige that comes with it, saying, oh, okay, I have an American degree. And so if any of these things I have mentioned, you fall into any of these categories, do take advantage of the offer while it lasts. Okay, so reach out to any of the student advisors. Their numbers is on the chat before we wrap up as well. So yeah, thank you, Bama.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you, everyone, for special thanks to the speakers, Adora Wodo and Funke Onafuye, for taking out the time to have this conversation with us and sharing your insights, as well as Maya Osari, great coming out of, I believe you have a special thing you're supposed to do now, but you took out the time to come down here and have this conversation with us. So big shout out to you guys and thank you for doing that. Now, any other person who, if you want to take advantage of this, you want to have a conversation with the student advisor directly, their links are up there. You can chat with them right now, real time, and they will give you every detail that you need to have, what it takes to the 10% that you need to pay, what it means, for the master's program. And I advise everyone. You've heard from Adora, we're talking about the tech industry, the tech space, what it means for you, career wise as well. If you want to switch, you want to grow, this is something that you need to take advantage of. And advancing your career in tech is where the world is heading to in every industry. So I can see that even affecting a lot of industries. One of the MSIT programs that blew my mind was healthcare informatics. It is incredible. You might want to take a look at that. And we already shared that link to you on the dashboard. You can take a look at it. Go through the Destiny Education timeline on Twitter and see some of those offers that are there for you to take advantage of. So big shout outs and thanks to the speakers for sharing those insights with us. Now, don't forget to follow the speakers on Twitter. Jump into their DM and talk to them about something. They will share more insights with you personally. And also, you can talk to Maya directly. She is a team lead of Destiny Education. So she has insights into how you can, if you want to get a bachelor's, if you want to do an associate degree, or you want to do a master's, even a doctorate program. She will give you all the details that you need. And you can visit the Destiny Education website. It's destinyedu.com. It's on the bio. Click on it, go to the website and, take part in that, fill out the form, and an advisor will get in touch with you as well. Follow the Twitter account too, so you can stay up to date with our newsletters. We have newsletters that we do put out, so you can subscribe to the newsletters and the podcast to hear different views. And in fact, most of the testimonials are on the podcast. You can go to the podcast it's called the Career Growth Sessions. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts, it's also on on Anchor and Google Podcasts. You can go there, listen to some of the testimonials from students who have, enrolled into degree programs and also advanced their career, gotten jobs outside this country as well. And it's something that you find interesting and insightful. So thank you so much for joining us. And till we see in the next career growth session, the career growth talks, have a lovely evening. And take advantage of this program. Thank you.